Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast. This week, we are wrapping up 2022 with a list of our favorite commanders that came out this year. So, joining me as always for this discussion is Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive. How's it going, Seth?
I'm doing great, Tomer. How are you? Excited to talk about some really sweet commanders.
Heck yeah, I'm excited it's a nice retrospective too, you know? There's some cards that I forgot came out this year because there's a lot. So it's nice
there've been a few.
Go back and
425 commanders this year, which is the most ever. Record breaking amount of new commanders to talk about.
At least do 5 less. Come on.
It's good to for the memes at least. So it's good to like refresh the memories and stuff. And then for people who are watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Spotify and iTunes, thank you so much. But also, you might want to check out the YouTube video because Krim, aka the Asian Avenger, is ready with his New Year's costume, and it's a shiny Gyarados.
It's not a costume. I just wore an outfit that I know.
Fashion statement.
I just wore an outfit I had laying around. I don't see where the costume is. Oh, you noticed that? Oh yeah, no, that's just a Gyarados beanie and a little golden tight suit. That's it. I always wear this. This is what I wear off stream. No?
Yeah. This is what to get comfortable.
Finally.
Yeah.
Time to wind down.
You can bust out the Gyarados toque. All right. Speaking of toques, Phil, aka Brewer's Kitchen, you're also wearing a toque. Welcome. And hi.
Hi. What's up?
We're also tired. It's very early for some people, and it's very late for some of us.
Yeah.
Actually,
by very
for
late, you
everybody.
mean like 2 in the afternoon or something, right?
For me and Toma, it's like perfect.
It's lunchtime for me.
I am
We just did a
about
Commander Clash
I would be
recording.
going to bed in exactly 40 minutes.
Woo. Wow,
That is
all right.
insanely
So I guess-
late. Okay.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that bedtime on schedule then.
It's okay. I
With
had a coffee.
Yeah, with the you mean G Fuel, sponsored by G Fuel.
Yeah, that too.
All right. Well, before we begin talking about commanders we like, a quick reminder. If you want to support the channel, you can do so 2 different ways. You can either like and subscribe. Well, you should like and subscribe anyway. That's number 1. It's free value wherever you're listening to this podcast. And the other way, if you want to support the channel with monies, you can head on over to mtggoldfishmerch.com. You can buy our doc boxes, desk sleeves, t-shirts, and so much more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. No, mtggoldfishmerch.com. Yes. Nailed it first time. Tired. All right.
And
now let's jump into...
Good morning, Tomer.
I also wanted to
That's
say,
me.
I think most of the commanders we're going to talk about today have been played on Commander Clash. So if you want to see some of these commanders in action, check out Commander Clash if you haven't over on the MTG Goldfish Commander YouTube, and you can actually see what these commanders do for a lot of them.
Yes, we did actually... A bunch of these were cards, so we ended up playing for the final episode of the year as well, too. So, boom. Little connection there. All right. With that out of the way, Seth, let's kick it off with you. What is one of your favorite commanders that were printed in the year 2022?
This is the super obvious choice. People probably would expect this to be the pick, but my number 1 commander of the year came out in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, actually, which is Isshin Two Heavens as 1. It's the Attack Monicon, Painter Monicon, 3 mana, 3/4 Human Samurai. When a creature attacking causes a triggered ability on a permanent you control the trigger, you trigger it an additional time. So one of my favorite, probably my favorite thing in Commander is Panharmonicon effects, things that double up and just offer that value. But over the years of Commander Clash, I've come to appreciate being a little bit more aggressive, actually having the game end and attacking people, and Isshin just mashes those 2 things together. Now I get my Panharmonicon, double things up, draw a ton of cards, do a bunch of really ridiculous things, but also can end the game and make people die rather than just like plinking my Muldrifter for 3 hours or whatever when everyone looks at me, you know, with the angry eyes of like, come on, dude, like do something. So Isshin, I love Isshin. It's a super fun commander to play.
Ever since Seth discovered Boros, he's changed.
He's
changed.
Yeah.
It's like,
What, you can draw cards while attacking?
I don't know this,
Yeah.
Seth. I don't know this, Seth. End the game. Get out of here. That's not the real Seth. Get out of here.
I mean, and we also just got Phil to try it. Phil, what did you think? You're the Simic player. What did you think of having to try Isshin?
Yeah, so I had to try Ishin for the Christmas episode, and it's pretty good, I gotta say. I mean, I expected it to be, if I attack, I want some triggers with some value and double that up. That seems perfect. Man, I had a good draw, and it was very cool. I mean, if it would have Simic colors in it, although does Simic even have attack triggers? I don't think so. I think the card is just perfect. It's cheap, aggressively costed, fits into. I mean, the best cards are probably would be better if it was
Simic.
3 mana is actually perfect. It's really the best card for the drop. There were different variants. There was a Gruul variant of this before, but we never saw
Wolfgar,
it.
the something. Nobody cares about Wolfgar.
Yeah, it's like
Mad
Mad
is
Ishin,
definitely
essentially.
the colors for this.
It's a slightly worse trigger because I don't think it triggers off your opponent's stuff. It's only your own own permanents triggering. So it's less flexible, and it's only 2 colors. It's Gruul, red and green. I think cost more too. Just nobody cared about Wolfgar.
Yeah, that's
It's all Ishin now.
That's a really good point about Ishin, though, is it does trigger Revenge of Ravens and there's some of these weird cards. You think about it as I play things that are creatures that trigger when they attack. And that is a lot of what you want to do with Ishin. But it actually triggers a whole bunch of things because anything attacking that triggers your permanents is going to trigger. So you can play some weird, almost Staxy, Prisony style cards, too, that punish your opponent for triggering your things when they attack you, which is kind of a neat way to build around it.
I've seen
trigger Bushido. I learned that from this.
It does not. It does not actually.
I know it does not.
So,
which is a flavor.
That's
fail.
got to be an oversight on
Unplayable.
Wizards' part because it's even a samurai, which is the Bushido.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gimmick,
but Bushido's very hard to make good. So who knows?
it's good against you, isn't it, Tomer? Didn't we learn? Didn't we learn?
Oh,
that?
come on! Come on! Oh,
Sorry.
So Isha's actually my top 3 favorite too. I don't have it in my list because Seth put it there first. But I really like this commander. I think my only small criticism with it, and this is in hindsight, because I was lauding it for it's so flexible. You can build not just attack trigger Ishin your own stuff, but you can build even a goad deck. You can force everybody to goad into your light minefields and stuff, or caltrops where they start taking damage because they're goaded and they take double the damage from the light minefield and stuff. So you can do weird things. It's so flexible. My only criticism is that it might be too good. I was thinking about other commanders that I like a lot that have attack triggers. Commander Liara Portier is one of my favorite commanders that came out this year as well, but it's Boros, and she's 5 mana, and she has a powerful attack trigger, and I love her. But then I was thinking, why would I ever have Commander Liara as my commander? She's in Boros colors. I can just put her in Ishin. Ishin is 3 mana instead of 5, and she's literally double as effective if I have Ishin as the commander, right? All these attack trigger commanders are literally just better at the 99 if you have Ishin there, because he's so cheap and he gives you 3 colors. So why wouldn't you have him as the commander instead? So that's kind of
It
really like him.
It is kind of just the best possible version, I think, of the attacking Panorama god. It's hard for me to imagine this getting beaten out in the near future. I think this is also just a lot of people's favorite commander of the year because it's, I think, the highest ranked on EDH Rec out of all the 425 new legends printed this year. This is number 11 overall out of all commanders. So this is a pretty popular build around.
It's if you like attack triggers, you're building Ishin, and there's there's other attack trigger commanders, but why would you pick those?
Yeah, and if you like to be a dirtily Panharmonicon player, but you feel like getting a little aggro, this is also the perfect commander for you to build. So it hits on a lot of different things for different people.
I'm super glad. I love it's such a cool commander. So.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on from Seth's number 1 pick, Krim. I see something that I recognize. Tell us about it.
So, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, my favorite from this year has actually been Zevlor Elturel Exile. This card has just it's okay. I loved Commander. The way I started Commander was that I just took all my favorite 1-for-1 spells and I threw it in a deck, right? I played Doomblade, I played whatever at the time. I learned very quickly that was terrible, but luckily Zevlor rewards me for playing all these 1-for-1 cards, thus making these like my Thoughtseize. All the cards I've played through my competitive, my 60 card pass are now playable in Commander. Being able to go Bonfire of the Damned, Rakdos Return, have it hit the whole table. My personal favorite, of course, turning head games and making it so everybody gets head gamed, or briberying everybody's deck. And of course, my personal favorite is Worst Fears or Cruel Ultimatum. And it's so good. It just hits
well,
the
okay,
whole
what does it
table.
do first? You have to tell the listeners.
For the listeners that don't know, Zevlor is just a 4 mana, 1 and Grixis, 4/2 with haste. You can pay 2 mana to tap it. The next spell you cast or copy, you get, if it targets exactly one permanent or one player, it changes to all all players or other and it can only be opponents' things. So it makes it so like you can go Jeska's Will and I target you and then copy it, and then you can then copy the whole table, right? So there's a lot you can do with this card, and it really just makes me feel good knowing that I can Thoughtseize in Commander and not completely get left out of the game. So like this is just, God, this year has been very Grixis. It's been all upside for Grixis, and I've been very happy with this year because for a long time, Grixis just had 0 commanders that were like really all that different or that like fun. This one just, it hit all the spots for me this year.
Plus, as we saw in a recent Commander Clash, it's a sneaky good Voltron commander. You just don't have any spells, so you haste in for 4. And
That's my
you
favorite
sort of
version of
combat
Zevlor.
damage. Yeah, Zevlor Voltron.
That is not the version like it normally is. I swear. I just don't know why I drew every land.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Like once you draw one of the spells, like Cruel Ultimatum or Worst Fears, it's over, right? Imagine I'm
basically.
not going to spoil it, but man, there was some
You beg for
draws
death,
that-
at least.
Yeah, actually, one of the wild things is at Magic 30, Richard played a game with me, and at one point, I had gotten somebody's Triska Decaphile, and the whole table actually kept trying to feed me cards so that I couldn't hit 13.
Oh, so
I
you
was
were
over
above
13.
13?
I was above
Oh.
13, and I think one of the most hilarious things was Richard tactically secret rendezvoused me to put me up cards.
Amazing. Yeah, this card is gas. It turns all your targeted spells into multiplayer. Basically, it takes all these not inefficient. It takes your single target
I would
spells
say
and
that
then
some
makes
of them are
them
inefficient in Commander.
scale them up.
They all
But,
scale for Commander,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, but Bribery is a good spell, and then you just made it 3 times as effective for each opponent, right? Like instead of searching one person's library for a creature, now you search each opponent's library for a creature. That's amazing. Jeska's Will, is already a very good card, but it targets, right? So now you get to target 3 people, exile 9 cards, make 1 billion red mana. Like this card makes inefficient targeted spells good, and it
Yeah.
makes good targeted spells ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So
And that's
yeah.
not even accounting all the things you copy with it. And last thing is I learned very quickly that Arcane Bombardment is absurd with this
Oh,
card.
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, I was doing some dirty things with this.
Gross. Yeah, this card's sick. Kill Quinn first.
Excuse you?
I didn't say anything.
Excuse you,
I was saying actually it's Phil's time to suggest his favorite.
Yes, so I actually got this in paper, and it's Manius Kalga, 5 mana, 2 and Esper colored. Legendary creature, Astartes Warrior, 3/5 double strike, and here comes the important part. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, you draw a card, and 6 generic mana, no tapping, create 2 white Astartes with Vigilance. So I got the precon for this, and I still haven't took it apart yet, but my plan is to fuse it with the Urza Old Border precon and spice it up with a lot of artifacts and enchantment that create tokens, like Bitter Blossom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but maybe Smothering Tide, depending on how evil I want to be with this. And then I throw in Phyrexian Altar and Ashnod's Altar, and then I go infinite. And that's how I win the game. It seems like a super grindy, dirtly deck with a pretty easy combo finish. And the card is just so flexible. Just whenever one or more token enters the battlefield, not creature token or whatever, just a treasure. Ooh, draw a card, a clue. The only thing this card could be better is if it would be Sultai, since I'm still searching for a Sultai commander, since there's like Lonis, Yarok, Eloise. There's so many in between Sultai. You could probably build my favorite deck ever. If this text box was on a Sultai commander, hell yeah. But this one, man, it's pretty sweet. And I can't wait to see how the deck turns out. I don't want to rip apart the precons before I played enough with them, so I probably want 1 or 2 more Commander Nights with this. But then it's time to get some proxies, especially. Like, imagine this with Black Market connections. Every turn you get a treasure, draw cards. Ooh, yeah. It's just pure value. And such a obviously broken combo ability in the end. Just 6 mana, no tapping. That will combo pretty easily.
I mean, infinite mana means infinite creatures and infinite card draw.
Infinite card draw. Right? It's just
like you draw your deck, you make all the creatures, you make all the mana. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. This was a card when they printed it. I really like this card, but I was surprised it didn't have like a restriction on it. It seems like one of those cards that these days they stick once per turn on, but this one doesn't have that. I know we're talking about commanders, but I gotta shout out just the Warhammer precons. Like you talked about still playing the precons. I was so impressed with those. Like I still have one of the precons that I still play unaltered because they just turned out so good. Like I think those, if we were talking about precons of the year, I think the Warhammer decks are like easily the best precons of the year by far.
I don't know, they're not old border. I like the old border ones just for all the cards it gave me, but I haven't even played with it yet. I don't know how they play.
Yeah, I think the Warhammer ones are exciting, but I feel people are sleeping on the other ones that came out. Like the Urza and Mishra out of the box are ridiculously good.
I went the Urza.
I went to Convention Summit, and they had like a gimmick where you could play with a content creator and 3 other people in the pod, and each person was given a precon to play, and they were just like a mixed bag from basically the last 2 years, so like Midnight Hunt all the way to the Urza and Mishra ones, and all of them were doing like really well. Like they were super impressive. Like I was just cleaning up with the vampire from Midnight Hunt, some Falcon Wrath thingy, and it was like super. Streffen, yeah, the blood tokens, yeah. So like, yeah, if you just want to have like a quick deck these days, like the precons are really they've really went up and beyond since like Political Puppets in 2011.
Oh yeah,
I think they're much more playable now.
They finally kind of like figured it out. I think how to make good precons for the most part. Although the mana base still stop the snarls and the temples, please, Watsy. You could still improve there.
Imagine putting multiplayer lands into the multiplayer. Yeah,
like the Battle Bond lands or something. It's so obvious.
The technology's just not there. It's the anyway. Marnius though, very sick. I'm very team have infinites because please kill us.
Yeah, I learned this after playing Lonis and winning, but just by everybody scooping out of boredom. So yeah, it's gotta end somewhere.
Yep. All right. We'll move on to mine. My absolute favorite one. Ishin's in the top 3, but my absolute favorite of the bunch is unquestionably Myra the Magnificent, which I know a lot of people are like, ugh, Infinity, bad, blah, 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 rabble. But honestly, this is my favorite. And if you like Izzet, then you're either like Spellslingers or Artifacts, and Myra does both. So explaining the card is going to be a little bit rough, but it's 4 mana, Izzet, 2/4, and it says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, open an attraction. I'm not going to explain what an attraction is yet, but basically what you need to know is that it's an artifact. It's an artifact permanent on the battlefield, all right? So you basically make an artifact permanent on the battlefield. That's the important part. Then she has a big activated ability, X, tap her, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value X or less from your graveyard, and choose an attraction you control that doesn't have a midway counter on it. Put a midway counter on it, and then whenever you visit the attraction, copy the exile card. You may cast a copy without paying its mana cost. So basically, she takes instant sorcerers in your graveyard and imprints them onto your artifact attractions. Whenever you trigger your attractions, you get to cast those spells for free. So if you have like suspend spells that have 0 mana, like Ancestral Vision and Inevitable Betrayal, you can activate it for 0 mana, imprint the card, and then whenever you trigger the attraction, you Inevitable Betrayal for free. You Ancestral Vision for free. So you Bribery for free. You're drawing 3 cards for free. Super great value too. And the fact that she makes a lot of artifacts, well, it's really good at Spellslinger and it's really good at artifacts. You're merging the two together. So now you can like tap these for improvise. So, or because they're artifacts, you have affinity for artifacts. You can cast Thoughtcast for 1 mana very easily. And you open another attraction doing that as well. You can do like, Gates of Ghirapur or whatever. You can tap artifacts to deal damage. You can Inspiring Statuary. You can tap your attractions to cast all your other non-artifact spells in your deck for free. Galzith Prismari says you can tap artifacts to add blue or red to cast and spend that only on your instants and sorcery spells. So boom, boom, boom. Like there's like layers and layers of synergies that are crossed between Spellslinger and artifact, and Myra puts them together. She's the only commander out there that takes Spellslinger and artifacts and puts them together in such an efficient way. Like, she's so good. Just the annoying thing is like, yes, infinity, blah, 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 rabble, rabble. But I love her so much. She's so great.
Yeah, I gotta say, we played with Infinity in Vegas, and I didn't know how attractions played, but I drafted an attraction deck, and then I read the card again, and she seems like the most fun commander ever, honestly. Like, this seems so, first of all, powerful and really, really fun. I get that it's Infinity and good point, but man, that seems super fun.
I think you sold me on it, because when I first read this, I thought, it's like there's a million Izzet Spellslinger commanders. This is just like a weird Infinity take on Izzet Spellslinger commander. But the artifact synergies that I hadn't really thought through, just like the value of having an attraction on the battlefield just because it's a free artifact that you're getting from casting a spell, I think that is like really neat, and that does kind of set Myra apart from all the the nibs of the world and the million other options you have for Izzet Spellslinger and commander.
I don't know. I played her 5 times so far because I have a paper version of her, and every single time people are like, "What are our attractions?" and then afterwards they like it. Like, I haven't won any games, but I've done a lot of really cool things with her. And if you really want to be like super sweaty, you can start imprinting extra turn spells. Like, imagine if you have like 5 attractions open, all of them have an extra turn spell in them. Chances are, like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, chances are like you're going to you're going to cast an extra turn spell every single turn, possibly multiple ones, and those open attractions as well. So like, yeah, you just win the game.
You can only
I don't have
10
any extra turn spells,
though, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Isn't there a cap on the number of attractions you can have?
22.
Oh, okay, you can have 22.
So
Okay.
I thought it was
22
10.
ones.
So you have to have
is 10 the minimum?
At least 10?
At
10
least
minimum.
10 to make it an attraction deck. Yeah.
But I run all 22, baby, because the attractions are going to open up very quickly. You get Taxian Probe, you open an attraction. You Frantic Search, you open an attraction. Just
But
as
you
well, you
get-
open an attraction.
To only have one of each, right?
Yeah.
What?
You
But
can't
what-
play
what's the
multiples
mana
of the
cost?
same attraction.
What does she cost to play?
4.
Oh my god, this seems
Yeah.
very good,
Great.
actually.
Great, but nobody knows her because she's just like, ugh, I'm
Yeah.
angry. But let me tell you, if you actually sit down with the card, it's not that hard to understand. It's definitely a lot simpler than like 90% of the legal cards that are printed, especially like the double face monstrosities that we get, or like the Transformers and Strixhaven dual whatever nonsense. So like, I don't know, she's not that hard.
Do you
And blah 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 infinity, but she's really good.
Did you rule 0 in some Acorn attractions just for fun?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
I would have
all
been.
strictly legal. All strictly legal. Nothing. No shenanigans here. It's just all legal, fair magic, as Richard Garfield intended. No acorns.
But you could stack
Yeah.
dice.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to, but I've been vetoed.
Or whatever that absurd clone one is.
There's some good ones. Yeah, you could clone into any legendary or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't
Yeah.
figure out off the top of my head any
yeah.
single one. I was just like Ragavan. Anyway, yeah, Myra's sick. Seth, next favorite one from the list. What you got for us?
I have another 4-mana commander, and this is another one that I think was pretty hyped this year, again from Kamigawa, but this time from the set boosters, and it's Go Shintai of Life's Origin. The new Shrine Commander, essentially, it's a 4-mana, 3 green for a 3/4 legendary enchantment creature shrine. You can pay 5 mana, one of each color, to return an enchantment card and tap it to return an enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield. And whenever it or another non-token shrine enters the battlefield under your control, you make a 1/1 colorless shrine enchantment creature token, which is not a shrine creature. That's the one thing I dislike about this card. A shrine is like an enchantment type rather than a creature type, which is a little awkward at first. But this is, oh boy, the perfect commander for shrines. I've always loved shrines. They're kind of like just a meme. They've always been horrible. Like, they first came in Kamigawa 20 years ago. There were 5 of them. Then we got some in a core set, and then they reprinted some in most recent Kamigawa. They value having a whole bunch of, each shrine is kind of like enchantment slivers. They power each other up. The more you have on the battlefield, the more ridiculous it gets. And this is just like the perfect commander to tie that all together. Not only does it let you get your shrines back from the graveyard if they die with its reanimation ability, but it also just makes shrines. So that powers up all of your other shrines. So it's just a really, really fun way to play. The only issue with this card that I see outside of the shrine creature type thing is it kind of leads itself to being an Enchantress deck, and it can actually be very powerful or immediately become the arch enemy. I think people know shrines enough now that they know if you can get a few of them on the battlefield, the value really quickly becomes overwhelming and it's hard for everyone else to keep up. And the easiest way to deal with that is just kill Go Shintai of Life's Origins. Kill Go Shintai. If you just keep it off the battlefield, it becomes much, much harder to get to that huge enchantment snowball. So if anything, it might be too threatening for its own good and it just dies a ton. But if you keep this on the battlefield, oh my goodness, you just do ridiculous things with the shrines. And there's even a Shrine Panharmonicon in Sanctum of All from the core set that double triggers all of your shrines. So yeah, I played it twice this year. I think once I just got absolutely crushed. The other time I think I got some shrine value and then got absolutely crushed, but I still had fun playing it both times.
I think you won that one.
Did I win the
You
second
kept,
one?
like, reanimating all of them.
Maybe I did win the second time.
I'm pretty sure you like destroyed us.
This is another one that's actually pretty popular too. I think it's one of the more popular commanders of the year.
Yeah, this one I see a lot, like at LGS and stuff. I did not know Ishin was the most popular. It is a very popular, but I always see Go Shintai like everywhere.
And I mean,
and it's like not a joke.
And I think
Everybody
part of
has
it,
a Go Shintai,
really not
right?
a
Like,
joke.
'cause, like, it's really
Yeah.
popular.
yeah, everyone has
Yeah.
Go Shintai. It's not that expensive, and the best cards in your deck are like uncommon shrines. So that's
Yeah.
like 15 of the cards that you want in your deck are these random uncommons. So if you can build a budget mana base, it's actually like not a super expensive deck to put together. And it just, people love shrines. Like every time I make a video about shrines in any format, people just love it. So it's got like this big cult following, I think, the shrine card type.
It's actually good though. I play a lot against it in Historic Brawl, and even there, it's like if you let them untap with it and have like 1 or 2 upkeeps, it's for sure over. You're gonna discard like 5 cards every upkeep, or they gain.
They're going to draw 5
10
cards
life,
and shoot down all
yeah.
your stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're not a joke. Like, yeah, you have to board wipe the Enchantress a lot, and it is an Enchantress deck too. So like you get all those like Enchantresses where it's like whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You have like the Sithis and stuff,
You get
and then they have like
the good ramp, all the like enchantment land ramp, Sanctum Weaver. So it really does have all the like good pieces that you'd want.
and all the mass reanimation is like the scariest part. Like you
Yeah.
board wipe them and you think you're like okay, but then they have replenish, open the vaults, eerie ultimatum, brilliant restoration, and they're just like all there. So you have to farewell them. You either gotta like destroy, or you gotta exile, or you just gotta farewell them.
God, Farewell sets back so
Farewell
many
is
decks,
the nightmare.
permanently.
Yeah.
like,
I never played
permanently.
farewell. We get my Slicer deck real good. Get my Myra deck real good. Gross. But yes, it is a very. It's like I'm glad that they printed it. Like, shrines are very popular. People didn't like Sisay, even though I was on Team Sisay for a long time. But this one is like actually a shrine too.
Yeah,
so it's more flavorful.
I will say, I know there's like a million commanders, and that's like maybe a good thing and a bad thing, how many we're getting today. But Wizards has done a really good job of giving commanders for these weird, janky card types recently, which is one of my favorite things they've been doing. We get like, oh, it's a commander for Worm Tribal, a commander for Shrines, these like weird old things from Magic's past. And I think that's like a positive for the format. Even if maybe we get too many Legends now overall, like the fact that these weird, janky themes are getting support, I think that's a really good thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Krim, what do you got for number 2?
Number 2 is, okay, it's another Grixis commander. It's Evelyn the Covetous. Now, normally I constantly make vampire decks, but Evelyn is a vampire commander. She is 2 blue-black hybrid, black and red-black hybrid with flash from Capenna. Whenever Evelyn or another vampire enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of each player's library with a collection counter on it. Once each turn, you may play a card from exile with a collection counter on it if it was exiled by an ability you controlled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So, if you find any instants and sorceries, you can access the pool of cards exiled by Evelyn on someone else's turn. And of course, on your turn, you can do whatever sorceries and things like that. Normally, vampires, I've built them over the time. I've played Commander, and they kind of always play the same. They always play the same, and I think the reason why I thoroughly love this is because finally Vampires feels different, and it adds like this subtle theft deck into it. And I think the biggest thing about this that I thoroughly loved is that it scaled to whatever power level the table was. Because at the core of it, you are a vampire deck, but you scale to like whatever the if the power of your opponents are just playing absurd things, you're gonna get absurd things. If it's just like a low power to mid power, you'll get about the same thing. So it made it. Evelyn eventually just kind of became like, if I were playing a game of Commander, a pickup game, I didn't know people, I would play Evelyn. Because at its core, I'm just playing vampires. And then I steal from you whatever you're playing. And if you're playing some busted things, then I guess we're going to get some busted things.
That's actually a pretty good point.
Like, it's worked thoroughly for me. Like it's just been such a good time. I've played with a lot of people with this deck. It's just so much fun. And like, yeah, vampires just, it feels good that it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it feels vampire-y.
It still feels vampire-y. And I think you're super right that like most vampire decks are just like tribal beatdown decks. Like, oh, I'm a vampire lord. Oh, I make more vampires. So it's really cool to have a different play style out of Evelyn, just doing something different than other vampires. And it's another one of those like commanders that generate card advantage, which actually tend to be pretty powerful. So I think I like that aspect of it too. You're always gonna have something to do once you get Evelyn going, if you can keep it on the battlefield a bit.
Right. It's just once you lose her, but otherwise you just fall back on a vampire plan.
Yeah, it's a vampire deck. I mean, I really like her. I like the fact that like 99% of the vampire decks are, let's face it, it's Edgar Markov, right?
Right.
It's the Eminence. It's the ya boy. And the most annoying thing about Edgar Markov is like there can never be a more powerful Edgar Markov for the sake of the format. You know, like he's already at the peak. He's already reached the top of the mountain. And so how do you compete with that? Well, you give different colors to vampires and you give a different archetype. And this one is all about theft. So you're not competing with Edgar in terms of power level for Vampire Tribal. You're competing in terms of different archetype, different flavor, different cards, card pool. And Evelyn does a great job at it. She's not like a Edgar level threat. She's a scaling threat. And she gives a unique twist to vampires in a slightly different colors as well. So I think she's like a really excellent design. And the theft effect is also cool. Like you said, it scales. So you can bust it out as a first game for anybody that you're not really sure what their power levels is, and you'll get like good stuff or bad stuff. It depends. Okay, next. Well, We're gonna get through these real fast. This is gonna be a fast podcast. Phil, what do you got for number 2?
All right, I got Mishra Eminent One. We did.
Oh, yeah.
Did the New Year's episode release at the point this podcast releases? I don't want to spoil anything.
Yes,
maybe.
Yes.
Considering it's my favorite commander from this year, and it is available on Magic Online, I'll probably replay it in an episode where we play our favorite commanders from the year. And we've seen me play it before. So it's a 5-mana, 2 and Grixis, legendary creature, obviously human artificer. 5/4, and cool ability here. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of target non-creature artifact you control, except its name is Mishra's Warform, so you can copy legendary stuff. It's a 4/4 construct artifact. In addition to its other types, it gains haste, and at the end of turn, I sacrifice it. So this is a lot of text for I create a copy of a non-token artifact every turn and sacrifice it afterwards. And this creates insane value with pretty much anything, especially stuff like Mycos's Wellspring or Ico Wellspring, stuff that enters the battlefield and leaves the battlefield with an effect. And well, once you get to copying cool stuff like Coveted Jewel, or maybe
Portal to Phyrexia.
Ooh, you can get so much value with this.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's for free. No, it's just every combat it happens. It's competitively costed, I think. I mean, you're playing a lot of mana rocks in the deck. I am so close to buying this precon just for this commander.
I have good news
buy a
for you,
single.
Phil. I have it built in paper, and it is a lot of fun. I built mine just no infinites, no anything, but it is fun just as an aggro beatdown with artifacts.
Yeah, just
Aggro.
scratch the
Yeah.
aggro. I don't want to attack with these
No,
things.
like
Those are
I
great. Don't
I
believe
play
in that.
Blast Furnace, Hellkite. I do all of it. It's a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
It seems like whenever I played it, it was.
It's like
extremely fun.
Panharmonicon as well. It doubles your enter the battlefield triggers and sacrifice and
You
leave
can
the
play
battlefield triggers.
Panharmonicon with it, and it gets.
Yeah.
Even
If you
better.
squint hard enough, it's kind of a Panharmonicon. I do like
They're all,
that.
everything is
Every-
Panharmonicon
yeah.
now.
Every mechanics kicker, every card's Panharmonicon. That's the magic world I want to live in. I actually like how flexible it is, though. Like Crim mentioned, you can go aggro with it. You can also build it really high-powered infinite combo if you want to. Try to just be like full-on arch enemy. I'm going to win as efficiently as possible. Sadly, though, it seems like you're often the arch enemy. I think we've seen Phil play this twice, and both times, like, once you get Mishra going and that free value starts adding up, the whole table's like, oh my god, we got to kill Phil now, or else like this is just gonna get out of hand. so I don't know if there's a solution to that problem, or if Mishra is just gonna make you the arch enemy.
You just gotta accept
Mishra
it.
falls. Yeah, like falls in line with just like every artifact deck, right? Like not like it plays it, like not that it plays the same, but in that anytime there is an artifact deck, you've seen me say it numerous times, we have to kill the artifact deck. Like everybody knows you just gotta kill the artifact. I don't care what you have on board, we gotta kill the artifact deck.
Yeah.
There's like not good artifact commanders out there. Just people don't play them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bluff, right? Whenever you see this going off with like an Ico Wellspring or something, next turn is probably going to be worse, and the turn afterwards, it's probably going to be absurd.
Like well, the one game you had Master Transmuter or whatever, you just put a massive like thing.
Oh
into
yeah,
play.
if
So,
you
yep,
can cheat.
All right.
Oh yeah. Or what's the Arkham? The one from
Arkham Dags.
Dags.
Yes. If you can just
Yeah.
so this one just taps to sacrifice a non-creature or like a creature
artifacts.
artifact, and then you tutor a non-creature onto the battlefield, non-creature artifact, and then you copy it with Mishra. It's
No.
It's
You
It's
just
just
make a
completely
copy of a
broken.
non-creature artifact of Mishra, turn it into a creature, and you sacrifice that token, which
that's-
was going to die anyway, and then find your best non-creature. Could be a Darksteel Forge to make all your stuff indestructible, but it could be just like FRX Portal to Phyrex, or it could be literally anything.
yeah.
Literally anything that's going to be winning the game.
Some like 10 mana artifact that's gonna be super bad
It
for
is-
everyone else.
It is a archenemy, but I don't think it's like any more of an archenemy than like Marnius Calgar. Like if Marnius is on the battlefield, it's got to die, or else he's going to draw like a bajillion cards.
I think it's worse.
I
Actually,
grade this
Mishra's worse,
way
yeah.
over Marnius.
Yeah.
Like
Marnius just draws cards.
I
right?
think-
but he can combo. But Mishra is just like, I put my thing down. Anything I copy is going to either draw me a billion cards or be a massive threat.
Yeah.
I will say that of the artifact commanders, this Mishra Eminent one does feel way more fair than the other ones, which isn't saying it's not like it's like a bad card. It's just like it's way more fair than like Brea.
It's kind of a value-y. It's kind of a value-y commander, really. Like it's all the Dagsons and the extra artifact pieces that are so scary. Like, oh, Goblin Welder's busted, Arkham Dagson's busted. Yep. But Mishra itself is kind of like a sweet value-y engine piece rather than a straight up broken on its own commander, I think. But you still got to kill.
You don't have to kill him every turn.
But but they're playing all the Arkham Dagsons and Goblin Welders and the broken artifact stuff in the deck. That's the problem.
But you pop up an Ichor Wellspring. Like, how much lower do you go? Yeah, it is very sweet though. Like it's just cool. It's a cool deck. It does fairly unique things too, like turning things and caring specifically about non-creature artifacts and then turning them into creature artifacts, and the fact that they're tokens. Like there's so many things you can synergize with. But
like you can probably do sweet things with like Verticlad or whatever, right? Can you like turn non-creature artifacts into tokens and turn all your stuff into copies of them? Like there's got to be some
It's in the pre-con, and I got like absolutely bodied by that. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I imagine that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna move on to my second pick, which is also an artifact, which is also played alongside Phil's Mishra Eminent one.
Not this.
This is it's a car. Vroom 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 vroom. It's a car. Oh no! What is this? It's Slicer. Slicer Hired Muscle. It's a 5-mana red legendary artifact creature robot. It's a 3/4 with more than meets the eye of 3 mana. Double strike haste. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have that player gain control of Slicer until end of turn. If you do, untap Slicer, goad it, and it can't be sacrificed this turn. If you don't, you convert it. What does converting mean, you mean? The other side. Slicer, high-speed antagonist. It's a legendary artifact vehicle because it's a car. It's a 3/2 living metal. As long as it's your turn, this vehicle is also a creature. First strike haste. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, convert it at the end of combat. So, what do? You see, is you play this for 3 mana on its backside the car, and then you smash the car into somebody's face. And then before they can call the cops or whatever, you flip it. Oh no, it's a robot. And then you can get away from the crime scene. No one knows the wiser. And now it's a 3/4 double strike haste. You hand it over to each opponent, you see. And it's goaded, and it has haste. It has double strike. It can't be sacrificed. It's going to start smashing people. And then you give it trample, you give it protection. It's also great with stuff that has like attack triggers. Whenever an equipment says like whenever the equipped creature does something, you get stuff. You're the one who gets it. So for example, Goldvein Pick says whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage, you make a treasure token. You, the owner of the equipment, the controller of the equipment get to have the treasure. So Slicer, an opponent smacking with Slicer because they have to, you make the treasure. Umezawa's Jitte, you get the charge counters, you get to use the charge counters. Sword of Body and Mind, Sword of XYZ, whatever, you get all the triggers. So Sword of Fire and Ice, you get to shock 2 things and draw 2 cards, baby. It's so good, and it goes around for each opponent. So you do it like you got 4 triggers, 4 times 2, 8 triggers on these combat damage thingies for an entire turn cycle. Oh boy, I love it. It's so fun. What do you guys think? Was it fun?
This has to be the card I underrated most out of the year, because when I saw this, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, sure, like that's kind of a funny gimmicky commander, and you've played it a couple times, and it is a legitimately scary card. It usually comes down on turn 2 off of some ram spell, and then flips around, and then you put an equipment on it, and it's like a two-shot kill. And because it's going around the table, it's like people can just kill you if they want to. That's been the experience both games that showed up. If like you play it and then Krim attacks me and Phil attacks me, I probably just die on the spot to commander damage. So I thought this was like some janky meme underpowered card, but this card is legitimately scary. Like I have a very healthy respect of Slicer now.
I think it's
like it comes down very early, and it just has that double strike randomly. I'm just like, oh, I keep forgetting that it has that every time.
Yeah, honestly,
I think one of the key parts, the major things about this is that last line of text. It can't be sacrificed. So normally you gift something and people just sack it and, like, thanks for giving me 2 additional mana to Phyrexian Tower. God, that part is so annoying.
Yeah, I don't think, like, reading the card doesn't explain how. It sounds like, oh yeah, you just have a chump block or something. Sure, then it has trample and double strike, and then it just
It doesn't have
kills
trample. You have
people.
to give it trample.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's if you build your deck around it, it's just a killing machine. And so far, we've seen it in 2 games. I'm not gonna spoil the other one. Watch it if you think the card is underwhelming, because man, it's dangerous.
It is not a joke.
It's very
It
scary.
is not a joke.
I will say, like, it is an arch enemy deck, and I wouldn't play it in a casual pod. Like, if it's a low power table, don't run this. It's too strong.
The deck groups.
Like, you're gonna kill people before they can start casting anything. I think this might be like my Mimi CDH deck even. Like, I want to see how high power I can take this. It's like, what, turn 1 slicer each game? Like, what can we do with that? What shenanigans can happen there?
I've got a question for Transformers, though. So that's a car. What if you step into that car? Is there, like, Transformer organs in there, or is it a functioning car?
Oh God!
And if it transforms while you're in there,
They're just like robots, like robotic parts. There's like screws and nuts.
okay,
and
so you
bolts.
can't
Well,
drive
they
the
won't have
car.
like a leather seat or something
They
in there, like, so you can be
technically
comfy.
have their spark, right? Like also their own spark. Like it's essentially their robotic heart.
Oh, it's in there just instead of a steering wheel.
Yeah.
It's like the. Okay, I was just wondering.
Doesn't it have like a steering wheel and stuff?
It does.
Can't you like step into the car and it looks like a car? Isn't that part of the disguise?
Yeah, like humans have gotten into like Autobots and whatnot, and have
Gross.
What happens if
We
they
don't- we
transform
don't-
with a human inside?
look. We don't
Oh.
question the logic. Okay, I mean, that's like, I swear I feel like that's something. I think Robot Chicken or something did a spoof on that where they transform with somebody in them, and it's
Oh,
just like
no.
it's brutal and bloody.
Okay, that's what I expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching like the first Transformer movies, 'cause I never watched after that. But the first one, there, it's like he went into Bumblebee. Like the main character would like go into Bumblebee. He didn't know that it was a Transformer at first.
Yeah.
So like that's the disguise part. So
But can you go
Yeah.
into beasties, Tomer? That's the real question.
Oh god.
What's
No.
inside a beastie?
awesomeness. It was also set in prehistoric times, Seth. If you were a true Beasties fan,
I am
It
not.
was set in prehistoric, so there weren't even like any like humans around to like hang out. It was like there were dinosaurs and things. I think there were dinosaurs.
There were.
It was, like,
Megatron
Ice
was
Age.
a
Wait,
T-Rex.
who's the bad guy?
Yeah, but
in
Optimus
Beasties
was a
then?
gorilla.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, I mean, it's just like dinos were like Decepticons, right?
There
Oh,
were
actually,
but there were
there was also a
dinosaurs
spider.
and there were mammals hanging. There were dinosaurs and gorillas hanging around at the same time.
there was the
time
giant
period.
tarantula spider one, and there's yeah.
There was a cheetah.
Yeah, that one. I
was
think
good
that, yeah,
stuff.
that was pretty cool.
That was a good
It was
show.
Beast Wars, but yeah,
The
Beasties.
Beasties. I'm a
Sure.
beastie boy.
Sure.
all right?
Okay. It just sounds terrible every time you say it out loud.
True
I
gamers, true
swear.
Beastie Boys would know how you call it. Hashtag Beastie Boys.
I think that name is already taken.
Yeah.
No,
Seems
I'm
That's
possible.
trademarking
fair
it right
to
now.
say that.
I came up with it by myself right now. All right. Yeah. I will also for Slicer, one of my very first decks that I ever made was a Corona deck that was literally Slicer. It was 5-color. At the beginning of each person's upkeep, they gain control of her, so you don't even have an option of whether or not you want to give it to her. And the idea was like you put vows and stuff on her so she can't attack you, and you pillow fort up, and then your opponent's then you have to force her to attack because she doesn't have a goad or anything. So you force people to attack with her, you pillow fort so you can't be attacked, and then you hope to have each of other people kill each other. It was terrible. She would get sacrificed. You would have to have protection. If people disenchanted the protection, you would die because people would be like, "Oh, we'll just all attack the person." There were so many levels of trying to get that to work. So it was my first deck that I built by myself, but like I took it apart. It was so many steps. It was so bad. And Slicer just has literally everything that I had a problem with. Like, oh yeah, you don't have to give it to an opponent. Oh yeah, it's goated so they can't attack you and they have to attack. And oh yeah, it has can't be sacrificed. Like perfect. Too strong? Yes, but perfect. Anywho. All right, final round. Third cards. Seth, what is your third favorite of the year?
So I was going to go with Rotodropic of Urborg, but I feel like I got a little bit too much of the same thing on my list where like there are all these 4-drops that just generate a ton of value. I have a card though that I think I like even more. The problem is I haven't got to play it yet because it's new and it hasn't come to Moto. So I'm going to go with Anti-Bite Bad Influence, which is a deck that I just really want to build because I think it's super unique. So Anti-Blight, if you're not familiar with Anti-Blight, it's a 3-mana red Devil Advisor, the devil on the shoulder thing. It's a 2/2 with flying. It says when a source you control deals damage to you, put that many +1/+1 counters on it, and then you can pay 2 and tap it and remove counters to deal that much damage to something. I'm really excited about just the play style of this. I love commanders that push you in a unique direction, and Anti-Blight's like self-damage direction is pretty unique. It makes a lot of cards that you wouldn't really play in any other commander deck really, really good. We talked about this on the Jumpstart episode a few weeks ago, but stuff like Wheel of Misfortune can grow this into a one-shot commander damage threat, or Volcano Helion. It also works well with like Heartless Hitasugu, any self-damage. Like you can go the Staxy route, like the Torbrand. If you see the cards that Torbrand likes because they deal a bunch of damage, Mana Barbs or Spell Shocks, any of that kind of stuff is really sweet with this as well because it's just going to keep growing your commander. So I think it's a really interesting way to build around a red commander. It's just a really unique effect. So this is a card that I haven't really got to play with it yet, but it is very high in my list of decks that I can't wait to build because it just seems super, super fun to play with and super unique.
I'm still so sad there's no Angel counterpart to this. I don't know why they missed this.
Yeah,
it's such a cool artwork.
It little flavor fail.
The card is super cool though. I love the artwork with the insane kill power of it. It's so trolly. It looks so stupid, and then, well, I guess I can kill somebody right now.
It reminds me, like, this has been my year of hatred when it comes to commander decks. Like, I've gotten so many hatred kills where it's just like, oh, I spend a huge chunk of my life, but someone dies. This is like the red hatred on a commander, essentially. Like, it rewards the same thing. Like, you're going to take a lot of damage. There's risk involved. You could end up hurting yourself so much that someone just kills you. But there's a huge reward where if you're willing to take that risk, you can't just be one-shotting people, like, really early in the game.
And if you put lifelink on it, like a Basilisk Caller or something like that, then you just gain all that life right back.
Yeah,
as you one-shot
Shadow
people.
Sphere off of my Urza Saga and my Anti-Blight, and you're in trouble.
I do have one warning to you, Seth.
Yes.
This is just Slicer, Seth. This is Slicer.
But instead of
You're like, oh, I'm gonna one-shot people. Oh, I'm gonna one-shot people. Oh, I am the baddie.
it's Slicer, but what I like about it, as opposed to Slicer, is Slicer rewards you for playing a bunch of like staple-y equipment. This rewards you for playing Volcano Helion and Wheel of Misfortune and cards that no other deck would play. So I think that's why it appeals to me more, is like the cards that go around it are just not cards that you would play in most decks. When Slicer, it's like, oh, Sword of Fire and Ice is really good. Like, duh. Yes, of course, Tomer, we knew that. Like, yeah, you cracked it. You figured it out. Swords are good.
I'm sorry. Naginata was
there's
Commander All-Star.
That did almost kill me. That is true.
That card is busted.
Okay, I might not have known that one was good. I'll give you that.
And I don't even know what Slicer is. It's a car.
What?
Coming at you.
Just play them both together in the same deck.
Anti-Blight as a backup when condition.
As a backup, yeah.
Nice.
Could you just...
All right, yeah.
Wait, a little off topic here, but could you just play Slicer if you just want to be aggressive? Just in the 99?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the last
Why
game
not?
we saw with Slicer ended mostly because I copied it with a clone, and then my non-commander version was pretty
A
devastating.
7/7 clone.
It was
yeah.
that was a lot of damage. But yeah, I think you could just play it in the 99.
You just want damage, yeah.
Yeah. Game's gotta end somehow.
Game's gotta end. See, join me, Seth. Auntie and Slicer, best friends forever.
Yeah, we'll team up next time.
Yeah. All right. Krim, your third favorite. What do
So
we got?
I've got Be'lakor, the Dark Master. I'm going up the actual curve here of Grixis. I went 4 drop, 5 drop, now I'm at a 6 drop. It is a flying demon noble, Prince of Chaos. When Be'lakor, the Dark Master, enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of demons you control. Then it has a second part, Lord of Torment. Whenever another demon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So it's got a little bit of an Impact Tremors kind of thing, or whatever, the dragon version, but for demons, right? What's the name of the 2-mana enchantment that gives haste to like things with flying, and then I can't.
Yeah.
Well,
I know,
Dragon
I know what you
Tempest.
mean.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dragon Tempest. There it is. It has a little bit of that minus the haste, but overall, I think, you already knew I love mono black demons. I liked Rakdos, but the Grixis demons, like, oh my god, like this year has been truly the year of Grixis. We have gotten so many good Grixis commanders. This is just my current top 3. That's not counting my runner-ups like Lord Xander and all that, because I love Lord Xander, but there's just so many good Grixis commanders this year. And I love Be'lakor because it's not just demons. I'm also playing, it's like a bit of a life swap kind of thing, a repay in kind, profane infusion, or whatever. Like I'm playing all these big life swap things, and I like that Be'lakor hits me every time he enters the battlefield because he helps me lower my health, so I can smooth that low health total around. And I'm also playing demons, so I'm just doing some a lot of paying life shenanigans, and I've got Abyssal Persecutor up until the point where I just don't need him anymore, and then I sack him, so then you all lose the game. But yeah, this is just a really, really good demon commander, and I love Demon Tribal, and it still does what demons does, but a lot of the new cards that you got from the Warhammer precons, I think we've all got about a Warhammer favorite, right? Like the Warhammer decks were really good, and Be'lakor continues that. I really liked it's demons, but it's a lot better than just mono black demons.
I mean, this is just the best demon commander, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Just as far as power level, if you want to build the strongest demon deck, this is probably the way to go.
Right.
I played against somebody in Vegas that played a optimized Be'lakor deck. It's nuts. It's just so much impact. Usually demons are super clunky, but there was they weren't trying to get their life total low, obviously. There was something that gave imps and demons and devils lifelink. And then all this damage was very healthy for them. So, that was very impressive. That was probably the swingiest games. The other side was Mirren, and then me with Lonis and Aristocrats Commander. But man, every round around the table, everything looked so different because we had to stop each other, and every turn cycle was nuts. Mirren is obviously crazy, and yeah, Be'lakor. Oh my lord, this is very cool cards that you never see otherwise. That's kind of the theme for this episode. There's so much niche stuff, except for my commanders, I guess.
It's nice to have access to Prince of Thralls now that you have Grixis, right? And the commanders from the Warhammer decks gave you Pink Horror, Magnus the Red, all these cool things, and you can pair it with even things like Thassa Deep Dwelling to just keep blinking. Ooh, so you can kind of do what Seth loves with the Panharmonica. You can go Honest Demons. You can, you can clone if you wanted to. Just adding that third color in there really gave you a good feel for what you could do with demons.
And I mean, if you read its abilities, its first ETB is kind of almost like a mini Ur-Dragon on a 6-drop commander where you just can refill your hand. And then the second one where it's dealing damage is so powerful too. So the card it reads like it's an absurd card. It's just got so much powerful text on it.
Yeah. I love the card as well. It does card draw, it does removal, and it's helping tribes that aren't super big.
Yeah.
But also I was scrounging around in the background because I also have it in a deck, but in the 99.
Oh, tribal.
Tribal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so good. it's both card, it's thematic card draw and removal in the tribal deck. Obviously,
Play my Changeling
choose are not
Outcast.
gonna-
Take 1. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's-
Wow.
that part's not that good, but like usually I have like 6 or so Changeling on the battlefield, then ETB draw 6, lose 6 is like good, and then you have he's a big old beater just by himself. You know, he takes names. Sweet Art, I like him a lot.
I
He's a fun
think
one.
one last thing also is that demons are, like you had mentioned earlier, they're really clunky. They're usually like 7+ mana. Get outside of a few, but like this commander deck from the Warhammer set really drops some good ones that are cheap. Like Herald of Slanesh, it reduces your demon spells you cast by 2. Other demons you control have haste. Like, dude, this Warhammer deck really, really gave you good early demons. It even gave you Bloodthirster on top of that. So, wow, this is a very, very... The Warhammer precons are absurd. I love them.
There's also one gimmicky version of Bellicor that I kind of like. I would bust it out for me before like a commander clash or something, and that's pairing Bellicor with a companion that happens to be a demon called Garuda, Doom of Depths. It's a 6 mana Dimir, legendary demon kraken, so demon, and it can be a companion as long as the only cards your starting deck contains only cards of even mana cost, which Bellicor is. And when it enters the battlefield, each player mills 4 cards, and you put a creature card with an even mana value among the mill cards onto the battlefield under your control. So if you decide to take the heavy restriction of only even mana cost, you can have this as your companion. And then if you load up with like even costed, clone effects, for example, then you can cast Garuda, hopefully hit one of your clones, and then do the Garuda thing. Like it was a standard deck before. It was just basically hit your clones to try to keep going over and over again. But the nice thing I like about it is that it is a demon. So each time a Garuda is entering the battlefield, you're dealing 6 again and again with Bellicor. And also, there's a lot of good demons that are also 6 or even costs as well. So even if you're not hitting clones, you can hit you can cheat out into
Like
play like
Sower,
some giant
Discord.
big thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more memey because it's a Garuda deck, which is but I think it's really cute, and it would be fun for at least one game. I really want to try that at some point.
Oh, I love Garuda. I would play more than one game with
don't give
this.
Phil ideas.
And then people would die fast. Like each time a Garuda is entering the battlefield, that's 6 with Bellicor again and again and again. So
Yeah, I mean, you might just win with the Garuda chain of like hitting clones that are copying demons, right? Like it could just leave
Don't
the
need to
table
tap.
potentially. Yeah.
I mean, I love doing that in Historic, so why wouldn't I want to do that in Commander, right?
heck yeah. All right, Phil, your third card
All
from
right.
the year.
Yes, this is not a card we have seen on Commander Clash since I didn't play it in the episode I could have played it. It's Urza, Lord Protector. 3 mana, 2/4, human artificer, and artifacts, instant, and sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. And for 7 mana, it melts with the Might Stone and the Weak Stone. Am I going to read all of this? So
Yes.
let's first
You
talk
gotta.
about the creature. Wow, I didn't think
And then
about
give us a spark note, a summary of it.
So first of all, it seems very boring, and it kind of is. It's just a 3 mana creature that
Wow,
makes
what a sell.
it makes everything in your deck cost 1 less, which turbocharges any artifact deck. I play it a lot in Historic Brawl. I'm sorry, I might play it in Commander one day, but I'm going to be instant enemy number 1 because all you do with this is go off real hard as you can with artifacts, instant, and sorceries. And you can try to pay 7 mana, fuse it with the Might Stone, and the Weak Stone, and get an absurd Planeswalker, but I'm not even sure if that's good in Commander. You can exile stuff.
Yeah. The removal mode's not bad, but it probably still, the problem with Planeswalkers is they just die a lot. But if it lives, it's absurd.
Fun fact about Might Stone and Weak Stone, though. So it's a 5 mana double Power Stone, pretty much. So it taps for 2 mana, but you can only spend them on non-artifact spells or activated abilities. Just don't spend it on non-artifacts. But when it enters the battlefield, you either draw 2 cards or give a creature -5/-5. This does not have color identity, if I understand the rules correctly. Yes, it melts into a Azorius colored thing, but you should be able to play it in Mishra. That's why I googled it if I could play it from Mishra, and Magic Online didn't allow me to do this, but I should be able to do this, and then you can copy it.
You should be able to, yeah.
Yeah. But I just love how the deck just goes off if you have Urza. I'm not sure if you're probably gonna be hated off the table if you show up with Urza. It just sounds like, oh, I'm gonna storm off. That's it.
Anytime you hear Urza, it's usually going to be followed by something.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's so hard to meld it in Commander.
The meld part is just gravy. Yeah. I don't even try to meld it in.
Oh, that's the only fun part for me.
Oh, it is fun.
Yeah, I get to meld it. I get to take the one card and I put the other card and I put them together and I get a doubly big card. Oh my god!
Sure, but
that's magic. That's
so
magic.
How do you play it then, Phil? Like Mystic Forge and just cost reducers and try to go through your whole deck type of thing.
Try to go off. That's maybe I'm not sure if that's fair to say it in Commander as a commander, because in 1v1. I don't have to feel so guilty for this. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like if I bring this to a table and go like, oh, Mana Rock was and do something like this, and then
watch me play, boys.
Yeah, it's just super fun. It's by far the most played Commander, even though I played it in Historic Brawl. And it's super fun. And yeah, you can tutor up Mightstone and Weakstone. Fun fact, there's this thing that tutors up a Mana Rock. There was Discord around it if it's good. The Mightstone...
Midnight.
Something.
Yeah.
Moon that tutors up a power
Moon Silver Key.
Moon Silver Key could be... Yeah. So it tutors up... an artifact with a mana ability, and Mightstone and Weakstone is a mana artifact, so you can play this for free, tap it, get the Mightstone, Weakstone, and meld away, but you're probably going to get blown out for this. Just letting you know. Just play your entire deck.
The worst is when you pay the 7 mana and they kill it in response. Ooh. Like that's the ultimate blowout. You just skip your turn. Like, oh, okay, whatever. Doomblade. Yeah.
I feel like it's actually worse if they kill it after the first activation of Urza. Because then they also killed the Mightstone and the Weakstone.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I just love cost reduction.
Plus, they give you that little taste of sweetness. You're like, oh my god, I was so close to doing cool things.
It did it. It resolved.
It's just we've never seen. I guess the sun, whatever. The Immortal Sun reduced everything by 1, but we rarely see artifacts, instants, and sorceries. It's usually artifacts or instant and sorceries.
And coming out of the command zone. Like that really changes things compared to a Brawl. Well, I guess Brawl does it for instants and sorceries, but coming out of the command zone just makes it so much more consistent when you're using it like a combo piece.
Love it.
And I mean, it's the fact that it's artifacts is like the major thing, because like we have cost reducers for instants and sorceries, but artifacts
we
in the
have
command zone
for artifacts as well, but having one in the command zone makes it very easy to make everything cost 0 in the end.
I mean, what about Supply Llama? We don't want to forget about Supply Llama. That's very good at reducing the cost on artifacts.
That's a very good.
It actually is.
We need a commander Supply Llama.
Cards.
Ethereum Sculptor for the ones that didn't buy the Supply Llama.
What do you mean Ethereum Sculptor? All I know is Supply Llama.
Yeah, it's like a Supply Llama in the command zone. Super good.
Wait, is it even a creature type llama?
No, I have no idea. It's a Vidalcan Artificer. I don't know why they...
How is that a Supply Llama? I don't understand.
Why is it not...
Are there Vidalcan in Fortnite?
No.
Obviously, no. I don't know why it's not like...
Squidward.
Which card
there were so many better... There were so many better things that it could have been, but no, who knows?
Imagine low effort Secret Lairs. Who would have... I'm not saying that.
The Fortnite players don't know the difference. They're like, oh, Vidalcan Artificer. It's a llama.
They're 12. They don't know the difference.
More like 8 maybe, but okay. Next
They're
card.
like 20s.
Oh, talking about
We're just
Fortnite though.
old.
One quick. Remember when Mr. Beast did a collaboration with Arena? So
Oh, yeah.
yesterday.
Sort of did a collaboration with
Yeah.
Arena.
So Fortnite had a new chapter, and I started up the game again. First of all, everything's new, everything's cool, new engine, whatever. They do so much for the game. Holy wow. I wish Arena would do a fraction of this. There's a Mr. Beast skin, and this weekend there's a $1 million tournament. Man, imagine that support with Arena. Did we ever find out if the money went out from the Mr. Beast event on Arena?
I'm
sure
pretty
the
sure
1
they
million
announced.
in Fortnite
They
will
announced
go.
winners eventually.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Nice.
presumably, whether or not they actually played against Mr. Beast or like an
Yeah.
intern, no one knows because it wasn't like on camera anywhere. But yeah,
Yeah, it's just a weird. And people complain about Fortnite, but man, they are the best supported game I've ever seen, and it's the best gameplay I've ever seen. I'm sorry, you can hate me for it. I don't care. Yeah. Dab on the haters.
All right, we'll get back on track. We have one more, and then we're done, and then you can all sleep. All right, my last card. My last card would have been Ishin Two Heavens as one, as rounding out the third, but I still have another attacky commander because you always have more attacky commanders out there, and that is Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, aka Mono Black Edric, which I love. This is a 3-mana, 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. So whenever people are attacking anyone who's not you, and they deal combat damage, they can pay 1 life, draw a card. Excellent. And then it has a big ol' activated ability. 7 mana, 4 triple black. Discard X cards. Exile the top X cards of your target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. So this is Mono Black Edric. You want to fill your deck with just like 1-drops that are super evasive, maybe 2-drops as well. Hit people, draw a lot of cards, and then you're basically like just dumping your super crazy big hand size into the activated ability, and just cast your opponent's spells too, which are probably better than your deck full of 1-drops, and win the game that way. So it's both like a finisher and a card draw engine, both in a 3-drop delicious. And there's just like a lot of cool things you can do because you're drawing so many cards. You can just be reckless with it. You can like exile a black card from your hand to cast Force of Despair for free and destroy all creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. Maybe exile 2 black cards from your hand, Soul Spike for free, deal 4 damage to target creature or player and gain 4 life. You're going to be discarding a lot of cards down to hand size 9 times out of 10. They're all just like crappy 1-drops. Why don't you play Songs of the Damned? Add 1 black mana to your mana pool for each creature in your graveyard for 1 black mana, instant speed. Dark Ritual, Defiler of Flesh, like blah blah blah. There's like it's great. And then you just Gary people, or you Strixhaven Stadium people, or you just kill them with their own creatures. It's like it's fair Mono Black Edric. Edric is kind of nonsense because like you're in blue, so you have counter magic backup, so nobody can ever touch you, and you have extra turn spells, which is the best way to win the game. This one doesn't have that, so you wanna kill Gix, you kill Gix. All right, you got me. I'll reanimate it, but like it's fair. It's very interactable.
it is much fairer than Edric, I think. Like just the colors make it a lot fairer than Edric. It's also
You don't lose a life from drawing cards. Like you don't even do it for free.
I also recently learned that it's not great against the backside of Redain, God of the Worthy. I don't know. I was playing this in Historic Brawl, and apparently the backside. I thought it just prevented a damage. It's like Valkyria Protector Shield. I thought it just prevented a damage to my opponent, but apparently makes targeting cost 1 more. So I discarded 10 cards and tried to kicks, and that just like was popped up. Ooh, countered. Sorry. So yeah. So be careful. There are ways you can get blown out discarding your hand to get. But when it works, it's really sweet.
I mean, yeah, we what is it on Clash? You threw your hand away, and then it's just like you kind of just sat there for a little bit.
Yeah, I like that it's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with Evelyn, how it sort of a little bit scales to the table, like because the best thing you do with it is steal your opponent's cards. So if your opponent's playing a bunch of bad cards, you're stealing a bunch of bad cards. If they're playing a bunch of like overpowered stuff, then you're stealing the overpowered stuff. So it's another one of those commanders that kind of has that scaling to the table vibe a little bit, especially since most of your creatures are like 1-mana 1/1 evasive creatures. Like there, you have no power in your deck outside of Gix itself for the
Yeah.
most part. So like you're really dependent on like getting real creatures from your opponents.
I think just like Evelyn, like the only thing that will scare people a lot, well, other than the fact that you're drawing obscene amounts of cards,
Yeah.
right? Like it's scary that you'll be like, oh, I constantly have like 15 cards in my hand with like a Thought Vessel out or something like that. Like that's scary. It doesn't matter that it's like all 1-drops, you know, like that aren't really doing much. But then the scary thing with Evelyn too is like if you're a combo deck, if you have like an integral piece, like let's say you're like, I'm playing Lonus even. You're not even a combo Lonus, but you have like Academy Manufacturer there. You do not want your manufacturer to be exiled, right? Like that
just
is
say
like,
Cauldron, Tomer.
that is
Just say use the right example.
Cauldron.
You're trying to assemble Cauldron.
like Cauldron.
Someone Gix is a piece.
Every time-
Artifact.
Every time I bring out Cauldron, you all have to be like on some nonsense, Gaunty nonsense. Also, by
I
the
could
way,
never.
I won with Cauldron. I killed somebody with Cauldron. Nobody in the comment section cared. What? What?
We paid
Because
we
you
paid
did-
him off to not celebrate. Shh, don't.
You know
don't-
how hard it is to win with Cauldron?
Cauldron. You killed with literally everything before the Cauldron. The Cauldron.
What?
Like, it's one of those like if you had a
first
stiff breeze would just like straight up kill me, right? Like so.
Whatever. All right, you try to win with Cauldron. How about that? All right, it's so easy.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, New Year's resolution: Crim wins with Cauldron. We'll
That-
see it. Anyhow, yeah. So this is like I don't know. I feel like I would bring this to like a more chill table, because yeah, like it's strong. But if you just keep killing Gix, the deck literally doesn't do anything, and you don't have blue to back you up. So like I can't force a will, you know, your removal spell. I'm just gonna try and like unearth Gix or something, you know, Malakir Birth it.
Yeah.
So I think it's like more chill, and also you will kill yourself. Like if you keep drawing cards, you're
Yep.
gonna die.
Seth
So-
went to like
yes.
1, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I ended up at like 1. Yeah, we went all. You got to go all the way if you're playing Gix. You always got to discard your whole hand. There's no picking and choosing. Oh, I'm going to keep my good cards. No, you just got to pitch them all and see what happens. And you always
Yeah.
got to draw. Unless if you're at 1 life, you get a pass. But otherwise, you gotta say yes. You can't say no.
Like yeah, the artistic. It's fun times.
Yeah, it is. I really like this commander too. I think I have a lot of fun playing it.
All right. Well, that does it, everybody. We covered 3 cards each, so 12 total. We got through it, and obviously this is just our favorite of the year. So let us know what you like the most from this year. Leave a comment with your favorite commanders from 2022. I love to check out to see what people are vibing with. You know, and maybe there's some commanders that we didn't even like look at really because you know.
I mean, there's still
There's only
Gearson
so many commanders.
Starn,
There's
Soundwave,
so
there's so
many.
much from this year. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have like even honorable mentions and stuff. But yeah, let us know. What do you think about this year of Magic and Commander in general? Comments, yay! All right, that's it, everybody. We're tired, or some people are tired. Somebody has to go to bed.
I'm going to bed.
He's going
Golden
to bed.
Boy's going to bed.
Cool. All right, sounds good. Good night, everybody. Happy New Year's. We will be back with the podcast next week in the new year. See you in 2023. Joke doesn't get old. Hey.
What are you, a math teacher?
Boom. All right.